Check 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Are we live? Are we live? I believe we are live. What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, host of the Philly Tall Podcast. But on Sundays at 7, we got something a little different. We are live with the Jan app, so we get to hear from the great people who follow the Eagles as much as I do, who rock with the channel. You get to come on here and chop it up barbershop style. And I know that the big news going on right now is that D-Hop release, right? I guess a couple sources saw him at the airport in Philly. Another big time YouTuber had him at eating lunch in Philly. Supposedly, you know, Jalen Hurts followed him, or he followed Jalen Hurts. I'm not exactly in tune with everything going on, but how y'all feel? Shout out to Quezzy the Great, Do 23. You're gonna have to let me know how you say it, Coach, and Eagles Uncut for joining early. How y'all feel about this D-Hop situation? You think it's more fairy tale, realistic? Do we need him? Do you want him? Give me your takes on that.
Who going first?
Go ahead, you
I'll
can
go
go,
first. I'll
Quezzy.
go first.
All right, go ahead. Eagles Uncut, you can go.
All
Who,
right.
me?
So, man, it's hard to say, tell you the truth, man. You know, like, of course, anybody's gonna want D Hops. You know what I'm saying? However, do we need it? Do we need him? No, I don't believe we need him because we do have like AJ Brown, we have Smitty, we have Dallas Goddard, and we have DeAndre Swift that he can get from catch from the back as well. You know what I'm saying? And I still do believe in Quest Watkins. You know, however, you know, D Hops would he would bring that extra. You know, let's just put it this way, man. He will not let that ball drop on a Super Bowl. Simple as that. You know. How and with that said, I don't believe we'll get him just because I think he's gonna cost a lot. Even though we do have the money, I think we're not gonna get him just because it's gonna cost a lot, man. You know, he's already a proven receiver. You know, and I still believe he's still a top 10 receiver on top of that as well. You know, so
That's interesting. I hear you. I hear you. Go ahead, Quezzy.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would go after him because I just feel like with D Hop being in our offense, it just make it more dynamic. And then he just for sure, to me, in my opinion, he would have the best hands on the team. Like dude does not drop anything, in my opinion. And then like another thing, I feel like we should just keep him away from the other teams. You know, I feel like it could help us out a lot too. Because I feel like if the Cowboys get him, or like even Washington, or just any NFC team gonna get him, like that's just automatic. Like that brings their team to another level. So if it was up to me, I would get him, but I don't see us getting him because for I seen a couple of reports saying that he wanted like 23 million or something like that. But I don't think we'll get him, but I do want him though. If it was up to me, I'd definitely get him.
Yeah, before we hear from Coach and my other guy down there, it's tough. If he's gonna want to get paid like a number one, and he's gonna want to be a number one, that's where it's just not gonna work out, right? He would have to accept a certain role in this offense, and it would be all behind the idea that he's been in the league for damn near a decade and he hasn't really won anything. So it would be him getting on board to be with a championship contending team in the Philadelphia Eagles and just understand his role. And at the same time, we know Devontae Smith was young, his first year rookie by himself, second year alongside of AJ Brown. They adapted really well. I don't think many people outside of Eagle fans scripted that both these guys would have career years, right? The rest of the NFL wasn't really sure about Jalen Hurts. We had some Eagle fans not sure. We had some that were sure. All that being said, you got two guys who Devontae could be a number one, AJ could be a number one. You got a dynamic tight end group. We already had the scenario of there's only one ball, too much talent. But guess what? Jalen Hurts, the play calling, it all fit. Dallas Goddard missed 4 games, still had 800 plus yards. He had his most. Every person who catches the ball not named Quez Watkins, had their best season in this scenario. Now it will pull back on some people, but I think it's a question that will AJ, will Devontae be okay with it, and will Hopkins accept it? And again, he's gonna have to come here thinking like, look, you're not getting 23 mil. We, as the contending team, have the most to offer you. It would be a 1 year probably deal. It would be middle of the pack, something like maybe like Odell Beckham got. It would be to show the NFL that he's still got it. As you just said, the dude don't drop passes, but he is coming off a leg injury, right? And he hasn't played recent. So you come here, you win the Super Bowl with the Eagles, you go sign a 3-4 year deal with somebody else. I think that would be a great scenario for him, but it would have to go. You know, there's a lot of people who have to be involved in the talking of a D Hop signing because of how the diva word gets thrown around for wide receivers and, you know, chemistry wise and all that. But 23, let me know. And if you want to let me know how to say your name, because, you know, I can't do it, my guy. I can't hear you. Nah. May want to just jump out and jump back in or something. As we wait for him, Coach, what you got?
So the Eagles are one of like 5 or 6 teams he specifically mentioned an interest in playing for,
Yeah.
especially because of Jalen Hurts and whatever, and that dog mentality and all that good stuff. And of all the teams in the league, we have one of the best financial situations in the league. I'd say about 12 million. If he's willing to do a 1 year deal and come down, there's a fit there. There are obviously issues and concerns, but his contested catch, he doesn't drop balls. That's a consistent theme. It's absolutely true. That's one of his biggest assets as a receiver. He doesn't drop balls. From a coaching perspective, putting him as the X in a 3-by-1 or a 4-by-1, putting Smith and Brown and even Quez on the field side, and just doing it that way, because Nuke needs some space. Nuke needs space. That's one of the things that he needs. Putting him on a trip side, on a trade side, not a good idea. There's certain things you're gonna have to do as an offense. You're probably not gonna want to be in 12 personnel a ton if you get Nuke or A Hop or whatever the hell he wants to call himself, right? There are certain things you're gonna have to change, but it is doable. Just a question of whether you want to do it.
Correct. Yeah, you got 3 receivers like that. There's no need to go in 12-man personnel unless you try to do that for running purposes. But then again, your offense gets kind of predictable. Oh, it's a trend when the Eagles go 12 personnel, they run the ball. When they put them 3 monster wide receivers, they throw the ball. And you don't want to be predictable in this league. Now, Jalen Hurts read option, that does free things up and do different things. But man, like I said, before we get to 23, that it would be the best trio ever assembled. Like, listen, there's been great receivers, great duos. We have one. Miami has one. A couple teams have that. But to have 3 guys who literally can go to, you know, any team in the NFL and be their number one, right? Top 10 guy in yardage last year, top 5 guy in yardage last year. And when Hopkins is healthy and playing, he's in the top 5 question too. Like I said in my live stream with LB, there's really like 17 wide receivers that are deserving in the top 10 in today's game. I mean, you go back 10, 15 years, you don't think you really can see that, but there's so many good wide receivers now. And so when anybody who makes a top 10 list, another person can argue 5 guys that should be in it, and it's really preference at this point because that's how deep the wide receiver position is. But my guy, can we hear you this time? Nah, I don't know what's going on. It's all right. Hey, I appreciate you for trying to come in. Not sure why we can't hear him. Smitty was just here and he dropped out. But like I said, Quez said it perfectly. Same with Coach. He doesn't drop balls. But it's a luxury to be able to talk how we're talking, right? Years have passed, right? We'd be really considering Julio Jones. We'd be begging for DeAndre Hopkins. Years have passed. You know, we went that long from 2014 up until we got Smitty, where we were like relying on the guys like Dorial Green Beckham, Josh Huff, Jordan Matthews, like, you know what I mean? Like guys who just, you know, not really that dude. But as y'all said, I don't think any Eagle fan will simply say no just because if their no behind it is pretty much we don't need him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me just get my other somebody else trying to come back on. But what? So let me ask you though, what would be the most again? As much as we talk about NFC teams, I really do believe in the running back season. I do believe that KC's good enough to get there. I know the AFC stacked. That's another team that if you see DeAndre Hopkins on the Chiefs, it's like, come on now, you know. I mean,
Don't want to see it. I ain't gonna lie. I want to see it.
Pat Mahomes is good enough without DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, look what he got from Juju Smith-Schuster. Look what he gets from these guys. What do you think, Stu?
I look at it like this. Because of course y'all know we got Howie Roseman to figure that out. My only problem with this is I'm trying to figure out what the hell's the hold up. Why is everybody questioning it? Because literally with D-Hop, it doesn't matter which one of them you choose, D-Hop or Smitty. Either one of them in the slot is a murder charge. And I'm sorry, but the victim is whoever the slot receiver is. It don't matter. You got to think of how much more catching. Like, think of how much opportunity you'll have with these three receivers. Run at catch. Why is everybody questioning? Because literally, you're not going to be able to double team either receiver or the tight end, and still worry about the quarterman running back in the backfield. There's so much space. You literally on offense, we make them play 11 on 11. That ain't good for them. If you gotta think, I heard LB say once, you're only as strong as your wide receiver 3. Well, if you got a better option that you could have at wide receiver 3, that's better than the option you have, what's the hold up? Everybody's talking about the chemistry issue. How would it work out chemistry-wise? I'm sorry. Didn't we just sign Zakir, Nagata, and then got some other guys in here? What they here to do? Take pictures and give hand jobs? Pause. No offense. But that ain't what they here for. So if we worried about a chemistry issue, a lot of those guys could possibly beat Quez out. Then what we talking about with chemistry? Everybody was talking about it would be a chemistry issue. Might be a chemistry issue when AJ came here with Smitty and Goddard. How'd that work out? You add another legitimate threat on the field. You put defenses in such a bind that literally they really don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, I hear you. Real quick, shout out to my guy Junk Money on the YouTube side, dropping a $2 donation. He said, Avengers Assemble. And that's literally how it would be with this group. I agree, and I spoke about it before you jumped in here, Stu. We heard that there would be some lack of ball movement and or some complaining on one of these sides when we got AJ Brown, knowing that Dallas Goedert was supposed to have his best year, Devontae, AJ, and they all ate very well. I will say this though, having 4 legit guys is unprecedented, right? Like that has never been seen. We've seen now 2 good wide receivers and a nice tight end that needs the ball too, but I don't think anybody would have ever been as deep as this. So this does create the conversation, I think, more alongside of DeAndre Hopkins. Just, are you prepared to fit this role? Now, this role might be, hey, week 3, you go off for $150. Week 4, you might only get, 3-4 targets and catch 3 of them. He don't drop balls, but like, are you prepared for that one game where, we are running the ball and targets are going to be slim for all the receivers, including you? Are you prepared for that? And then I think you do got to, run it by. I think in this league now, which is starting to be more of a players league, you see how teams just, people, I want out and whatnot. I think you run it by AJ and Devontae for sure. You talk with Jalen Hurts too. You get the big playmakers and decision makers on this offense, and you have a conversation. But again, the way I saw the chemistry just come together for Smitty and AJ Brown, they want to win. And I don't think there's not an Eagle that played in that Super Bowl that ain't willing to do anything to get back there and finish the job this year. What a heartbreaking loss for everybody involved. So I hear you. DELA Flow And Big Dog Reese, your mics are muted. You want to chime in real quick?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for DeAndre Hopkins is the fact that Arizona still got to pay him $22 million. So
He gonna get some. Yeah.
right, his thing got to be is does he want to win a Super Bowl or does he want to get paid? And if he want to win a Super Bowl, he might take a 1-year deal with the team so we can go ahead and get that Super Bowl. That's just my
That's
opinion on that. And then the next takeaway will be, if AJ Brown is going to be okay with that, because I know you guys remember last year when he had a problem not getting all the targets he was getting. I think in that Giants game. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of takeaway from that. I would love to have D Hop. That's a guaranteed Super Bowl in my opinion.
As he said, yeah. Now look again, health and injuries do play a part, but I mean, on paper, you're talking about doubling down and having one of the most dynamic offense ever assembled. As Young Money said with the super chat, Avengers assemble. I totally agree. Big
Hey,
Dog,
Mike.
what's going on with you?
Mike.
Oh no, that was Reese. It's Flo now.
All right.
How you doing, Mike?
So
What's
it's
good?
hard when the cameras are off. It's hard. You know what I mean? I'm trying to
My
trying to hear the
bad,
voices, but all right, go ahead,
I'm
Flo.
I'll turn the camera on for you, Mike. Shout out
my bad. I'm gonna get situated, but
I got
now
my daughter.
I put it to you like this: if you get D Hop, it's like I said with what we was talking about, Leonard Floyd. It would be a luxury piece. It would be just something that it's just good to add to the offense, but I'll also say this, at the end of the day, chemistry is everything. I wouldn't really change too much. The only piece we really needed to kind of like put back in would be missing out on Miles Sanders. And we had that with Gainwell, and then we just added Swift. And so I feel that's the only piece that was really needed on the offensive side that we just need. Now, feeding too many people on like for so many drives and so many plays, it's like you don't want to disrupt what we had last year. But I really think what we really need is that chemistry and that continuity on the defensive side. So I was looking more towards training for like Buda. I'm still hearing about Buda Baker. I still want to see what's the best way we can go to get Patrick Queen or Simmons. Like just that defensive side has to be like everything on that side has to be perfect. Because I think I already know what we all feel the offense is going to do what it need to do, regardless without D-Hop or not. So it's a luxury piece, but I don't feel like it's a necessary piece. That's just my personal perspective on it.
Go ahead, Stu.
Hey, Mike. I wanted to address that. That was the thing when y'all talk about where he's at in his career. I think what we need to do is actually pay attention to what he said that he was looking for in the latter half of his career. He wants to go to a franchise that has a stable front office, which we have, owner, you know what I'm saying, owner that ain't about that BS. We got that. A quarterback that loves ball and everybody that's all on the same page. We got all of them. And our quarterback is one of the 5 that he named as the top 5 he would like to play with. Now think about this though. All 5 of those quarterbacks, look at their team and their cap situation. All of them teams ain't really got cap space like that. And out of all 5 of those teams, we got the most.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you really think about it, his mindset now, 10 years into the league, he's been the guy for 10 years. It ain't got him nowhere. He's been in 10 years in the league, his furthest spot he's made it into the playoffs is the same round as Dak Prescott, the divisional round. He trying to get further than that. So now I think it's about money because he done got big paydays. He done got paydays from Houston and from Arizona. I don't think money is the issue now. I think he's trying to win that chip because it's about a legacy issue now.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely sounded along the lines of that as he was talking to I Am Athlete podcast. And again,
just on that, I think that feel like an Antonio Brown move, like same way how Antonio Brown was getting on the stats within Pittsburgh. It's like he could be in that same motive. You never know. We hope he is, because at the end of the day, we just don't want no diva work going within the office.
But no. You can't compare anybody to AB. He a whole nother different world. He in a whole world of difference now. Like yo,
AB never been the same after that Vontaze Burfict hit.
Yeah, that's crazy. Look, again, I think Kyler Murray shenanigans was part of the reason why D Hop was shown to be so frustrated on the Arizona sideline. Like, this kid, the reports coming out that the man is like gamer, like that's all he does. That's all he cares about, right? And so you got a guy like Hop who's been there, done that. He wants to win. You've seen the talent from Kyler Murray at times, and then the shenanigans come out. So I understand, but again, that's wanting to win, Diva. That's not all the other AB stuff. But I want to say this about Hopkins real quick. Again, I do agree. Look, this offense was dropping 30 a game the first year it was assembled, and again, it's really just the change of play calling and added A. Brown. But again, you added a dominant wide receiver into an offense that has a dynamic tight end and a 1A, 1B wide receiver one already in Devontae Smith, and that gelled great. Now you're talking about the chemistry between everybody on the field already is going to be like you're not coming into 2023 any worse. So you got a team that's dropping 30 on people. You're bringing back everybody, and I don't want to try to just downplay Miles Sanders, but look, if you the Swift Miles Sanders things, that's really interchangeable. You can say Smith a little bit better, you can say Sanders a little bit better, but it's interchangeable, especially, and then we get the extra benefit of pass catching out the backfield for sure. All that being said, this offense is a top 3 offense in the league, so we don't need DeAndre Hopkins, but it would be unprecedented. Like I said, I don't think you would ever be able to stack up these wide receivers to any other 3 that's ever been on the same team, and especially when you talk about top 5 tight end included in that, because they're pass catchers in their own. I do want to say this super chat real quick. Shout out to my guy Sydney family with this $7.99 super chat. He said on the flip side, Julio Jones, Buda Baker, and Floyd/Yannick. These are all guys out there that the Eagles can make a move on too. For the Yannick and Floyd thing, again, I'm a little off that, in the sense that if you add another pass rusher, cool. That's what Howie likes to do at times. I ain't mad at it. It's only going to make the defense versatile. But I'm targeting like a Buda Baker or a linebacker if I'm looking at that defensive side. What's y'all thoughts on that on the super chat? We'll start with Quez.
What was the question again?
So he just said on the flip side, other guys who were linked to the Eagles. So we're not just talking about D-Hop, Julio Jones, Buda Baker, Yannick Ngakoue, I think that's how you say it, and Leonard Floyd. So 2 pass rushers, a safety, and a wide receiver that's not going to cost, or, blah, blah, blah. Julio Jones. What's your take on that, on some of them guys?
I think they all great ideas. I would like to see, if we can't get D-Hop, I would like to see us get Yannick Ngakoue or either Julio, because I feel like all the wide receivers, they respect Julio, and then just he'll be able to sharpen their iron as well and show them things along the ropes. So I feel like either one of those two, either Yannick Ngakoue or Julio Jones, I feel like those would be a great move.
I ain't mad. And like I said, when I did my Julio video prior to the D-Hop news, mine was like my initial reaction. If it was my decision, I probably wouldn't do it. I ain't mad if they get him, and I'm not mad if they don't, for the simple fact that I'm a Quez believer for sure, and that's mainly it. I'm a Quez believer. But D-Hop different level than Julio, of course. That being said, I understand how much Devontae Smith idolizes Julio. It might be a good guy to just continue the growth of him, but like I said, I'm not really spending much money for talking about Julio, and I'm more on the side of, man, 3 years ago I would be jumping out of my seat for this, but now I'm kind of like, we got our Julios. You know what I mean? Devontae's a slim Julio, if you ask me. So I'm cool. But there are a couple good players out there. Buda Baker's still interesting for sure. Eagles Uncut. What's your take on them couple guys?
Tell the truth, man. We need linebacker, man. I mean, I surely do believe in D, man. I think he's gonna have a breakout season for sure. And we have the guy from Chicago Boys. His name Marlowe. Now, besides that, knock on wood. But if somebody get hurt or like we don't have no depth in there, who's next after them? Sean Bradley? You know what I'm saying?
Davion Taylor.
I definitely.
What about Patrick Johnson? Patrick Johnson.
What happened?
Patrick Johnson.
Yeah, we have him as well, but still, like we need like more depth as well. Like on the linebacker position, man.
Hey, I hear you on that. I hear you for sure. Coach, how you feel about some of them players that were named that's not named DeAndre Hopkins?
I'd say that I agree with you. I'm not the hugest Julio fan. Buda Baker could be interesting. Certainly, if Arizona's doing a fire sale, Howie should certainly be on the phone. And adding safety depth, especially really good, exceptional safety depth, is always a good thing. And he might put Reed on the bench or someone on the bench or whatever, and that's fine. The bigger thing for me, not to be pessimistic, we were talking before about 12 wins being the floor. I'd prefer to keep the money, wait till the trade deadline, see if we're basically undefeated, see if we're basically healthy, and then spend that money then when we have more information. That's what I would do. But I understand people wanting to get, A-Hop or Buda Baker or whatever. I mean, they're both they're legit top 5, top 10 players at their position. If you're gonna go early, you gotta go big if you're gonna go early. That's, I guess, what I would say. And if you're not gonna go early, get some data, see how the guys are, see how Morrow is, see how Dean is in year 2, et cetera. The safety from Illinois or whatever. Get some data first, and then you know what you're spending your money on. And if not, make sure they're like really good, like Buda Baker, D-Hop, et cetera.
Now, you bring up a great point before we get to the next person. Think about it. Right now, we're excited about this team as it sits right now. Now, adding a big name in Buda Baker or D-Hop, we're not going to say no as a fan base. That being said, right now with that $14 million, we go into the season, we're running the table, we're 5-0, 6-0, or we're leading the NFC, and boom, this position is now weak off of a blah 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 injury. And so that's where it's like, dang, if we didn't sign this person, you can go out there and now use the trade deadline to bring in somebody that is really needed, especially if you have 2 running backs go down or 2 offensive linemen or a receiver or whatever. And so I think it's always smart to have some money in the middle of the season, especially if you're contending in case anything happens. Like, trust me, if KC had some money the year that they lost both offensive linemen and stuff like that, they would love to invest in an offensive lineman or something mid-season to try to keep that team afloat and not get blown out in the Super Bowl. I'm not sure when they got hurt. I'm just using that as an example. So it is interesting. We got a nice little chunk of change. Big Dog, how you feel about them other players not named D-Hop?
I feel like if we can't get D-Hop, we got to get Julio, man. Julio would be the best third option, in our offense. He won't have to play a lot of snaps that'll keep him from getting injured. And it's Julio. You know what I'm saying? We can always depend on Julio. Julio had never really had a bad game unless he was hurt. You know what I'm saying? So that would definitely catapult our offense to a whole other level. And really speaking on the Miles Sanders Swift thing, Swift can catch out the backfield. So like I think LB was saying before, we would be able to have hot routes. You know what I'm saying? We were never able to do that last year. Miles Sanders can't catch the ball. So in that opinion, Swift is better. So with Swift, Julio, or D-Hop, man, who gonna stop us, man?
Yeah, Swift does bring that different element. Again, and I think he can. Again, sometimes a change of scenery is all you need. And again, the name Julio Jones, if he would be signed to the Eagles, it's not to go out there and get 800 yards receiving. Right. It's not to go out there and try to out muscle or out lead both Devontae Smith or AJ Brown in receptions. It's to be a reliable source. When Hurts drops back and looks, first option not there, look, key 3rd and 7, Julio catches, stretch, picks up the first down. It's them couple plays throughout a season, throughout the playoffs, that can make the Julio signing worthwhile. He finished the season with 350 yards, but guess what? 200 of them yards were on crucial downs, crucial plays. And so I think, again, he's familiar with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Whenever he's asked, who did you idolize your game from? It's Julio. That's his guy. Both went to Alabama, and Julio's fast and big, but the dude was he's a route runner too. Like in his older age, he uses his size and his body now, but the dude had it all. He had the whole bag of tricks as it pertains to what you want in a wide receiver. So again, I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I'm chilling at this point, but I'm still looking at the linebacker as my interest in upgrade. That just makes me say, now I don't see no holes on this team. But we talked about it with LB and stuff too. Like Terrell Edmonds is going to be interesting if they do play him more as a hybrid linebacker slash safety type role for the simple fact he can tackle, he can be in the box, he can blitz, and then you're talking about that linebacker room is a little bit deeper, right? Now you got Edmonds, Morrow, and N'Kobe Dean and stuff like that. So it should be interesting. But DELA, what you got on them other couple players?
Yeah, just bring up to my introduction, man. I just feel like I just feel as long as we just maintain what we have on offense, if you get Julio Jones, it's like who you gonna really put in the slot? Like you can in between mix and match, I guess, or you can do anything in between of that. So that'd be a nice solid piece. But it's just,
Someone got the police coming
I
after them. Yeah, but somebody got to get up and start
That,
recruiting.
that that's me. Don't worry, I'm not in trouble.
Yo,
know
You
I'm in New York
just,
City.
that's
I was
hey
hearing
big
them.
dog. You turned your camera off. Are you
Hey,
is that you good?
I had to mute my mic to see it, make sure it wasn't no damn cops riding around me. Like, damn, is that me?
I'm just
Nah,
kidding,
man.
y'all.
Yeah, man. But for real though, I just like that. Like what I saw in the Super Bowl, man. It's that side of the ball is always going to be the question to me, and I just feel like everything seems so good. We want to score 30, 40 points. The problem is, like, even with the first game of the season last year with the Lions, it's like at the end of the day, it was cut and throat because the defense was not up to par, couldn't stop nothing. So we literally was going tick for tat with people. I don't think we need to get into that end of the season. I think as long as we stay on the defensive side of the board, like Buda Baker, Patrick Queen, even Isaiah Simmons, whatever the case may be, I just feel like we need a guy that can go north, south, can go to the first level, go back to the third level, and just literally be that in-betweener back that we need. So I would really look at like a Patrick Queen and just somebody that's literally solidified at the safety position with Buda Baker. So I'm thinking all defense. That's just me. I just don't want nobody I don't want nobody to have an easy time for us this season. Like everybody keeps saying our schedule is so tough. I want them to come to Philly, like what Sean Desai said. I want everybody to feel us and how we feel when they come in here playing with us. You know what I mean?
I
So
like it. I like it. And
Man,
again,
I
at the end of
think
the day, the side that let us down was defense. Before we let you go real quick, and then I want to hear from Stu. I let Eagles Uncut get in here. Shout out to everybody in the YouTube side. Listen, download the JAANN app. It's a free app. JJAANN. Download it. And then all you gotta do is search Philly Mike Eagles Call-In Show. And the next time we do this, you could be on the panel as well, giving your Eagle takes. It's just barbershop talk on here. No wrong answers, no right answers, unless you're not an Eagles fan. At the end of the day, that's what we do every Sunday at 7 p.m. That will be for the remainder of the off season. It will get switched during the season. But do me a favor. We got almost 300 people in the chat. Hit the like button. It's free. It's easy. It don't cost a thing. What were you going to say, Eagles Uncut?
now, like I was saying on DELA flow thoughts, man. Like, on the defense side of the ball, like most of our games last year, it was poor game planning, man. It was mainly Jonathan Gannon, like playing so freaking conservative. Like I really do believe, like, whenever I made my videos before as well, right after the Super Bowl, I gave the blame to 85% of the blame I gave to Jonathan Gannon. So I think, like, besides that, with the side, I think we're gonna be way better on the defense side of the ball, and they're not gonna be scoring freaking 30, 35 points. We're not gonna get scored 35 points like we did our first game last year against the Lions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think just Sean Desai itself coming here. Plus, we got them dogs, literally. I think this defense is coming into a Super Bowl running back type season better than it was when we got to the Super Bowl. And the offense is right now the same, if not still a little bit better, for the simple fact that Swift, Sanders running, okay, call to wash. But his ability to catch up the backfield, I think we are deeper. Just adding Rashad Penny and Kenny G still here, who took over in the playoffs. Stu, how you feeling about them others?
I'm gonna go with like this. Julio, hell no. That's like having the last few years, having Julio on your roster is like having Rashad Penny on your roster the last few years. He ain't available. You know what I'm saying that, like, literally signing him is like having outshine on you the last 2 years he was here.
High paid cheerleader, right? No,
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
No point no sense in having Julio. Yannick Ngakoue, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be mad at it, but I don't see a need for it with the rotation of pass rushers that we have.
You know what I'm saying? I don't see him. He's not a coverage linebacker or anything like that. He's basically a pass rusher. So I'm not feeling that. Buda Baker adding safety depth and competition. Basically adding Buda Baker. Who's the other safety? Because we already know Buda Baker's gonna be that starter. Um, and to be honest with you, like everybody else said, we need linebacker depth. That is what we need. We need somebody, a linebacker that can drop cover in the middle of the field, who can actually keep his eye out, player actually who can competently spy the quarterback playing in the middle of the field. And at the same time, like y'all say, y'all is defense, y'all keep worried about. Well, that poses a question that I have for everybody. It was something that I kept thinking all week. Three names that keep coming in my mind. These three dudes got a chip on their shoulder, and I think they gonna push. Ringo, because he was a fourth rounder and he should have went at least a second. And Ricks and Gardner, they didn't even get drafted. These three guys are coming in with these three rookies are coming in with a chip on their shoulder. How much do y'all think these guys with the chip that they got is gonna push Slay and Bradbury? That's what I want to see. How much? Because I think that's gonna be a nice little Them three guys coming in with a chip, two older guys that ain't trying to let their spot go, and Maddox too, plus Greedy. That competition at the corner spot is going to be crazy, and I want to know how much y'all think these boys is going. These older, the two vets, the all pros and Pro Bowler. How much you think they're gonna get pushed for their spot?
I'll go first. I don't think they taken these guys' spots. I think that Slay and Bradbury coming in with the same intensity of last year. But I do like to see that the battle for behind them too. Again, Slay got nicked up a couple times. He's a year older, so you could see some games where we need somebody to come in and fill some shoes for a little bit. But look, the future Eagles cornerback competition is starting. It's starting this year, right? Having Eli Ricks, having Josh Jobe, who I still think the Eagles have high hopes on. Greedy Williams coming in, who's a young guy who I think can grow with the Eagles. Ringo, our draftee Zach McPherson. At the end of the day, Slay and Bradbury are here for the short-term year 2, maybe 3. I think Bradbury is 3. We'll see where everything else goes, but the future of the Eagles backfield is up for grabs, and we got a lot of guys in their 20s, early 20s, that I'm curious about. So that is a battle I like to see who's winning reps in training camp and in the preseason before the other cornerbacks, because we're pretty deep at that cornerback position. Go ahead, y'all. Anybody else want to talk about that?
It's been a while since we've been deep in it too.
Facts.
I was just going to say this because now that he mentioned about all these undrafted, the undrafted draftees that came in, got signed, with Ringo being in the fourth rounder. You gotta understand, we can also have a Jalen Mills situation with all this talent that's on everywhere within the secondary. Like what y'all with Ringo. I know you and LB talked about it, Mike. But what you I would say probably preseason and OTAs, mandatory OT. Would you try to interchange and try to see if we can switch people over to safety, kind of find somebody's niche and see if they can grow in that role, and kind of see where that goes from there, because it's available at the end of the time. I feel like it's open competition all over there, besides the 2 corner spots, because at the end of the day, you pay them contracts. You're not getting rid of them. You're not going to let somebody take their spot if they, you know what I mean? So I feel like if you can interchange, what would you think? We have the talent to find a safety if we don't get Buda Baker or we don't get the guy from Tennessee. You know what I mean? Because I feel we got the talent to do it.
Yeah, we heard some scout analysts talk about that they believe Ringo's game, his size, his ability, his range, his speed can translate into playing safety. So I mean, I won't just push the issue there. I think we got some dogs at safety that's going to play, but in practice, you never know. There could be. I would be exhausting all options and letting people just fight for the job. So we always have the best person there. But Ringo's a guy that I think if he gets some things right, he got to get better at his change of direction. Maybe learn a little bit more so he's not fooled at all. But 6'2", 207, 4'3" speed. You don't hear that combination. So I'm going to be interested to see where he goes. Does he eventually come in and be a future Eagles cornerback? Will he play a safety role? What is the future for Ringo? That's going to have me very interested as it pertains to the next couple years of his career. But real quick, we got 2 super chats. Sydney family with an $8 super chat. This is when we were still talking about Julio Jones. He said Julio Jones is the cheaper option, which gives Howie more money to spend, but Hopkins is the clear winner. I totally agree. As Coach said at the bottom of the screen, it's good when you are a contending team and you know you're most likely going to be one of the best in the NFC to feel out from week 1 to week 8 where this team is. Dang, we're getting beat because we can't stop this. Let's go add something that can help stop what we're getting beat. Oh, we were running the ball or we were throwing the ball well, but now we're missing this. So, I agree with the keep some money too if we're not getting D-Hop. Kirk Atkins with a $10 super chat. Appreciate the love and support. He said, out of the NFC, who is the one team that could shock the conference and maybe be contenders to the Eagles? My take, which is his take, Kurt's take, is the Saints. Derek Carr is one of them quarterbacks that I think that if he has everything right, he can be he could win you games. He's not in my top 10, but we've seen some flashes for Carr, so that's going to be interesting. The Saints. I want to get everybody's take on the panel because Kurt dropped a $10 banger. Kurt said the sleeper team to him that could make some noise in the NFC is the Saints. Of course, right now we know the Niners, the Eagles, and we'll even say the Cowboys as the top guys in the conference. So give me somebody who was a fringe playoff team or didn't make the playoffs that can show you something this year and be as a contender.
At this point, with Debo crying and Kyle Shanahan crying, and they so worried about us, I really think right now the Seahawks are coming for them and taking that spot within the NFC with the draft they just have with Njigba, Witherspoon, and all these guys, and then that guy, that running back that you like so much, Charbonnet coming out UCLA. I'm like, that draft looked pretty good, and I'm like, that's a sleeper. Like out of everybody, I feel like that's the most improved NFC team, and I think they can take the Niners spot and still contest with us out of everybody.
Nobody contending with us if we got D-Hop. No, I'm just kidding. For those who are just jumping in here talking about D-Hop, we started this conversation. We started this live stream talking about D-Hop. We might finish it up a little bit. One more take on D-Hop because I know that's what the title on the script of the live stream is. But we did talk about it for the first 25, 30 minutes. You can always catch it on the rerun. But the question is now, who is the sleeper NFC team that can be a contender? DELA Flow said the Seattle Seahawks. They made the playoffs. They were a first-round exit. So that definitely classifies as a sleeper to be a contender. Stu, who you got as your sleeper contender for the NFC?
Well, if everybody paid attention to their offseason, I'm going to simply say the Bears. Y'all can sleep if y'all want to. The Bears is going... What they did off on the offensive side, adding players on the offensive side, I think they're going to improve a little defensively. But if they got if they put some offensive line help in front of Justin Fields, and he got some weapons now, watch out for the Bears, man.
The Bears.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Go ahead.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, the line, they gotta get past the Lions, because the Lions, like, you can say that about the Bears, you can say about the Lions last year too, even though they didn't make it too. So that's another sleeper right there too.
Yeah, but the Lions, everybody can see the only problem with the Lions was their defense. That was it. They ain't had no problem scoring or moving the ball.
Yeah, well, real quick, chat, I want everybody in the comment section or the live chat to give me your sleeper team. Just name one team. After we hear everybody on the panel, I'll run off some of your teams that you believe is a sleeper. We're going to get some of the same picks because there's only so many teams in the NFC. But Big Dog, who you got as that sleeper that could possibly show something?
I agree with Seattle, man. They did a hell of a job last year. They got some good picks in the draft, so they're looking good over there. I think Seattle.
Yeah, and again, the word is contender, and so being a first round exit, that's a fringe playoff team because you only made it for you only made it first round, and we're
Wild
talking
card
about
game.
contention. So Seattle Seahawks are definitely coming up. We'll see if Geno can run it back. A similar season. It's going to be interesting. Quez 901. Who you got as that sleeper NFC team that no one talking about that should be mentioned with possibly the finish teams?
Well, to me, I got two teams, and I'm gonna piggyback on what they said. First, the Seahawks, because like if y'all forgot, y'all know who Slay struggled with. You already know who
DK
already over there.
Metcalf.
And then plus they just got the new wide
But
receiver.
that's why we got Bradbury. He the more physical one. Get physical
Yeah,
when he
but
got the
still,
line.
yeah. But then you got the new wide receiver over there. They're gonna have a top. To me, I think they're gonna have a top 5 offense this year.
Yeah.
And then my second team I got is the Lions. Like we can say what we want about the Lions, they always give us a hard fight. And now that they added some good moves like with Jameer Gibbs and who else didn't they pick up a corner too? No, they got the
They got that Brian Branch,
they
and
Yeah.
that Luke Campbell off in the linebacker.
They got
And they
Lucas
did
Van
sign
Ness and
C.J.
Brian
Gardner
Branch, and
Johnson.
Yeah, see, we can't sleep on them. And I like Chicago too, but them my two teams, the Lions and the Seahawks. I feel like they can, like with their roster, they can give us trouble.
Yeah, real quick. A lot of the chat. We did see a couple Bears. We see some Saints, Falcons, Packers, Lions. Pretty much that's the bulk of it. Saints, Seattle, Saints, Commanders, Lions.
Hey, yeah,
So,
I'm not going to sleep on them either. I'm not going to sleep on the Commanders. I think they're going.
Oh,
I think
I'm
literally, I ain't going to front.
They
I'm
defense,
snoring up a
Commanders. No,
storm.
Their
this is
defense
why.
nice, bro.
This is
I ain't gonna
why.
lie.
I'm
Their
not
defense
talking
is
about.
nice.
I'm not talking about as far as us. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about as far as us. I just think they're going to take the spot of the goddamn Cowboys. I
Their defense
really
nice.
do. I think they're going to take the Cowboys spot. I really do. I ain't going to front.
Bro, I believe more in the Giants than the Commanders, man.
Hey, look. I think the Cowboys is going to the basement. I'm
I mean,
not
look.
playing.
Let me just
I
say this
think
about the Cowboys.
going to the basement.
I hate the Cowboys, right? However, I'm not going to sit here and act like they did get better. Like adding Gilmore and Cooks, I'm not saying it's Super Bowl moves, but they brought back the majority of their team. They were decent last year. Dak had some issues. Hopefully the issues continue. But adding Cooks to help free up CeeDee Lamb, adding Gilmore to play alongside, because that other corner was getting cooked because they lost what's his name? Anthony Brown, right? And so adding Gilmore, who played still at a high level, he's old, and hopefully he falls off a cliff. The realist in me says the Cowboys got better. Do I think they're better than us? No. Do I hate them? Yes. So I'm always going to listen to the slander for sure. But it's interesting. It's interesting. We're going to see. Coach, I want to hear from you though. What's your sleeper team in the NFC?
Hold on. Remember, didn't Mike McCarthy say? Ain't Mike McCarthy calling the plays? Didn't he say he wanted to run the ball more? He wanted to score less points.
I hope we about to see. We about to see how Big Mike does for sure. Coach, what do you got though as sleeper team in the NFC?
So I'm following a lot of this. I agree with the people in the chat, the people in the room here. A lot of these are all good picks. I was thinking about Carolina, but I'm not feeling it. You were talking about the Lions draft. I was doing some draft analysis, the top 5 drafts. The Lions have one, the Giants have another. The New York Football Giants. So talking about the Commanders and not taking our division for granted, I'm not saying they're going to be the number 1 or number 2 team in the division, but there could be another season like last season where 3 of them potentially get in the playoffs and they could be team number 3, which technically they did last year, so I don't know how much of a sleeper that is. But their draft was really good. And Schoen and stuff and Dable, they've got smart people in the right positions. Their roster is shit, but they're working on it. They could surprise some people this season and actually be relatively decent.
I hear you. And yeah, like I like the fact that Stu was the first one to mention the Bears though, because if you believe like Justin Fields he got his receivers now. I forgot that they brought DJ Moore over there as well. They already brought Claypool midseason, so they got their offensive lineman to help give him more time. So that's going to be interesting. I I agree. I like all yours. Seattle taking that step to be more fierce as a legit contender for the NFC Championship game. I like the Lions, what they did. The Giants had a great draft. I'm just not sold on Daniel Jones, but like you said, smart people around that. I do think Daboll's a good coach, and he's going to get the most out of Jones, whatever that is. It's going to be interesting to see what Carolina does. They're a full rebuild. I like Stroud, but it's going to be interesting there. I'm trying to think of anybody else that just crossed my mind. The Saints are always a scrappy team. I mean, they still got a good defense. We'll see what Carr does. We'll see if Kamara is suspended or not or traded. But they got receivers over there to help out Carr. Trying to think of one more.
Falcons, they have some good receivers too, man.
I noticed ain't nobody say the Rams.
I was thinking about. Listen, if Cooper Kupp comes back good, it depends. If Stafford and Kupp are healthy, the Rams are going to be at least a thorn in some people's side. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to get. I mean, they did lose Ramsey. They have some older people there too, but the Kupp Stafford tandem is going to keep them involved because Cooper Kupp is a monster.
Yeah, didn't AD retire?
They lost Bobby Wagner.
They lost who?
Bobby Wagner and Ramsey gone.
Bobby
I thought AD retired.
Who?
AD.
Aaron Donald. No, Aaron Donald's still there.
They said
Ramsey gone.
They were saying that. Like I seen someone.
No, he was saying if he's not going to resign.
He
said if he wasn't going to resign in LA, he was thinking he would consider retiring.
Oh well, shit. He need to come with us.
Nah, we got a young Aaron Donald right now.
Yeah, listen. The D tackle room is stacked. It's going to be a great competition there. Did everybody gave their sleeper team, right?
Yeah.
No, not me.
Real quick. What about the Vikings?
Bro, come on, bro.
We seen what they do.
Hold on. You just asked the proper question. You really just asked the proper question. What about him?
I look at the Giants. Daniel Jones and Kirk Cousins both fold on the primetime football, and that just is what it is. But they still got Justin Jefferson. So
you can never sleep on Justin Jefferson for sure. All right, Eagles Uncut. What is you got anybody else, or do you agree with most of us?
Yeah, it was just the same thing, man. I really think that the Lions actually gonna make some noise this year. Kind of like what the Giants did. This past year, especially signing Garner Johnson, Brian Branch drafting him, and Jahmyr Gibbs, which they say is Alvin Kamara 2.0. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're gonna make some noise. I'm not gonna lie.
I hear you. And like I said, normally when we do these, it's longer than an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. As we get more people that are in the background, so like I said, we're gonna do this as it gets closer to football and more people come back in, or maybe more people decide to download the JAAANN app. If there are multiple people in the back stage, we're gonna do some we gonna have some substitutions and stuff like that, because I do want to hear from as many people as possible on different topics. So we'll do some of that. We haven't really had that issue so far, but I see it coming in the near future. So we got 5 minutes left, and I do got to be somewhere by 8:30. So what we'll do is go over our final thoughts for the people in here. Shout out to the people on the YouTube side, over 240 or 250 still in the building. We're about to hit that hour. Make sure you hit the like button. It's free, it's easy, don't cost a thing, all that good stuff. But yeah, so today we pretty much talked about a sleeper NFC team. We spent a lot of time on D-Hop. We talked about some other free agent options. And again, it's closing in on June, right? And that's where it starts to get pretty slow. But the way the Eagles function, having Howie Roseman, we're always in front page sports news. So it's good. We're going to stay relevant all the way until training camp for sure. And then you got guys like Big Play Slay with the podcast. So we've been able to learn more behind the scenes stuff as it pertains to our Eagles, which is cool. I'm loving all that. That being said, Quez, you got any final thoughts on anything we talked about today, or something that hasn't been mentioned but you want to talk about real quick and give your thoughts on it before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered everything that I want to talk about. Now all I'm waiting on is for the season to come. I'm so excited for this season. Man, I think I'm gonna have to catch at least 3 home games for sure this year. I just can't wait till the season starts.
Yeah, and what I think I really want to do is I want to get as many content creators and subscribers that that all follow the same people and or that be just that always be available and and just rock with us. I would love to do something where it's like we all just have, of course it would be most likely to be a home game, right? And just everybody be there, like all the content creators that do this stuff just have one big this game, and we just it'd be a movie. It'd be great to have it out there. Maybe we do some type of live show or not. I mean, if y'all there, you're definitely not gonna watch the show. But like we it would be interesting to see if we can make that happen with at least
Hey,
half the
Mike.
great Eagle content
Hey,
creators
Mike.
out there. It would be
Hey,
crazy.
Mike, when you get the second Labordi and we get that first home game that season next, that'll be a game that y'all can go to.
There we
You
go.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might have
Give
to
you some time.
postpone it
Give you
because
some time.
we are gonna get a Super Bowl this year for sure, for sure. So.
Yeah.
Coach, what you got for
Might
me?
be
Anything you want to touch on that we didn't talk about, and or your last thought? Maybe a D Hop take, maybe a free agent take. Anything?
I definitely agree with Uncut in particular, though. Y'all have said it. Linebacker depth is a huge problem. And, obviously we can wait until later and pick up people if people get injured. But we really need some. I do like what you said about bringing, I'm forgetting his name. I think he played for the Bills or something. The strong safety, kind of cross training him as a linebacker. I think that would be good. I do think with Asai having a background in Seattle, there's going to be more of that loaded box than there was last season, which can be good, especially on running downs. So we do need to work on the linebacker depth. I do think, especially cross training CBs and safeties and linebackers and safeties, that's going to be a huge thing to watch out for in the next month or so. And that's about all I got to say.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I totally agree. And we did touch on that, linebacker and some free agency stuff. Like I said, the title of this is D Hop because just slowly heating up, and I think that there's really no sign where he's going. But if you look at the tea leaves, the Eagles were one of the 5 teams named. Well, Hurts was one of the 5 quarterbacks. We have the most cap space. We have Howie Roseman. And I don't know what the hell he was doing in Philadelphia, but I ain't complaining. I mean, I don't know if he was eating cheesesteaks. I don't know if he was just going because, again, Microphone, who got like 700K, he said that, and I guess he knows somehow. I'm not saying it's 100% true, but I'm a tend to believe the guy who has 700K subscribers, he's doing something right. That being said, he said he was in Philly for lunch. I did see somebody post DeAndre Hopkins at a Philly airport. So again, it's just food for thought, as
That
he
wasn't
said.
D-Hop. That
That wasn't
D-Hop
D-Hop?
at the airport. Nah, hell
Well, look,
nah.
all I'm saying is though,
Yeah,
it's been quiet since there. All I'm saying, the main thing is we were one of the 5 teams that he picked. So we'll see what happens. It's funny though, he picks them 5 teams. What, 2 days later, 3 days later, he gets released. It's evident that he didn't want to be here. And I think one of the biggest things that was stopping people from picking him up is having to trade for him and blah, blah, blah. And maybe having to take some of that money on and all that. But Arizona being responsible for all that could change the dynamics of what Hopkins wants to do. Eagles Uncut. Give me your last thoughts. I mean,
Man, tell you the truth, man. We signed D Hop. We're getting the second Lombardi. No question asked. You know what I'm saying? Like this, like I said, bro, he wouldn't drop that ball that Quest dropped. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I do not believe we will sign him, but man, who wouldn't want him?
I think the Bills gonna get him.
I hear you. I hear
ain't
you.
got no money.
DELA Flow. Last thoughts.
Last thoughts, man. What came to mind is like, okay, it's something bad to think about, but something that we don't want to think about. Do we really trust Mariota as our backup as opposed to, Minshew as an upgrade? I don't know if y'all feel comfortable with that or not. I don't know. Hopefully we never get to that point. But outside of that, I think special teams with the new rule change got irrelevant quickly. So even if we got Legatron, if we put him on the squad, like it's gonna be irrelevant because people are just gonna be fair catching things of that sort. But I don't know, man. Just the defense. I feel like just the linebacker, just like Patrick Queen. Like I really ask this question, like make a video of like what would it take to get Queen from off of the Ravens, and kind of like see what they really are like willing to accept, and see if we will pay. Out of all the line, like every piece that we have, like are we talking about or trying to consider for? I feel like Patrick Queen is like the one. If you get him, sign him right now, whatever you can do, and just bring him in, and that's just. I think that would be like the most solidified piece that we can bring to the team for this year, and then just see from that point on. And then after that, like I said, 12-5, 12-5, the floor, and hopefully we can get more than that. That's all I can say.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Green Wingman. He was in the background. I wanted to let him get in here. He just jumping in for the first time. So give me anything you want to give me as it pertains to some of the things that we talked about, or just any of your Eagle thoughts before we get out of here as well, if you can hear me.
Nah, man, y'all can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, thank you for getting me in real quick too. No, man. Just kind of covering up on the D Hop situation, man. I think, listen, if you can get D Hop on this team as your third man, I mean, he has to. I think at the end of the day, he has to understand. At the end of the day, he's going to be number 3. He isn't going to be number 1, number 2. But if you can come here and understand that, hey, you can take a veteran deal, work yourself back into shape, because he's been out for 2 weeks though, although he's looked really good. And you may get maybe 60 or 80 catches, but they're going to probably be the most important 60, 80 catches in your entire career. Really, at the end of the day, that you got to sit down and look at that for the D-Hop situation. But yeah, other than that, I mean, realistically, you think about egos, you think about, this Madden team culture that everybody kind of gets themselves into. It looks good in a video game, but sometimes it never really works well in a live setting. But, if it happens, man, I think it's going to be something special. I mean, you're talking about pretty much winning any game that you had in the beginning. They're going to win. They're going to win. I'm not going to say they're going to go like 17-0 though, but I mean, if you're the opposing defense and you're looking at that, on top of the fact that you have Dallas Goedert, on top of the fact that you just got DeAndre Swift, on top of the fact that you keep Rashad Penny healthy, that's a lot of ammo that nobody's going to be able to stop this season. Like, I don't care whatever defense you got. That's difficult. That's difficult.
Yeah, I totally agree with all your points, and that's what we talked about. He would have to understand that the catch volume is going to be different, but they're going to be important catches. And D-Hop that makes his team just, again, having 3 wide receivers of that caliber, while also having a top 5 tight end, has never been seen in history. Like, if you really want to say, no team has ever had 3 receivers that are top 12 in the NFL on the same squad while also having a top 5 tight end. It's unprecedented. Or I don't even know how to say that word, but it's that word. You know what I mean? It would be wild. And it's not most realistic situation, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Whoever gets him, though, it could change the landscape. Again, if a Kansas City Chiefs get him, if a team that's already good that needs that little push, it's going to be scary. You know what I mean? So hopefully whoever he goes doesn't impact us if he doesn't come to us, but we will definitely find out. Big Dog Reese, your final thoughts?
Man, I'm just ready for the season, man. Those projections of them saying that we going 6-11, man, that's some BS, man. So I'm ready for us to prove them wrong once again. You know what I'm saying? So Hurts, I got faith in him. I got faith in us, man. So I'm just ready for us to get that other Lombardi, man.
Yeah, man. That was unfortunate. When I was scrolling by and I seen PFF simulator, I said, "What in the gods? What's going on here? That shit broken. You better get that jink fixed." No way 6-11 happens with this squad. I mean, yeah, we win our first 6 out of 11, if you want to say it that way, but not 6-11 for sure. Stu Vision, let us know.
Final thoughts is this. If you could bring in D-Hop, Do you realize you could probably get a 4th or 5th rounder for Quez from Indy, sending him out there with Shane Steichen to be the deep threat for the rookie? I don't see how that's the lose. I don't see how you lose in that. That's my final thoughts. And one last thing, I don't think Contavia Street makes it.
Sheesh.
We got too many D tackles.
Too many D tackles.
We got too many D tackles.
Dang, street hitting the street. Streets hitting the streets.
Yeah, I think streets. I think Contavia Street's gonna be on the streets at the end of training camp.
Well, we gonna find out. Listen, this is another successful live stream again, powered by JJAANN. For all the great people in the YouTube comment section, if you want to be on the panel next week, Sunday at 7 p.m., all you got to do is go to your Apple phone, Android phone, go to the Play Store, the Apple Store, download the JJAANN app, sign up, and type in Philly. Wait, what is it called again? Type in Philly Mike Eagles call-in show. If they ask you for a promo code, I'll get you that as well, all that good stuff. And join the conversation next week, Sunday at 7 p.m. Hit the like button, subscribe if you are new. If you're just getting in here, you can always catch the rerun the first 20, 30 minutes. We talked about the news heating up for D-Hop. We gave all our takes on the panel. Shout out to my guy, Dontello Dragon, with the $2 super chat. He said, damn, I didn't get a notification. YouTube is playing with me. Hey, sorry to hear that. Sometimes you got to go back and hit the bell off and hit the bell on because YouTube be going crazy sometimes. And again, Eagles for life said, how do I join? You got to download the JJAANN app, JJAANN. You know what? I'm going to put the link in the description. So when this video's over, all you got to do is come back to this video, go to the description or the pinned comment section, click the link, put in the promo code, search Philly Mike Eagles call in, and next week, Sunday at 7 p.m., get your popcorn ready. Or actually, if you're going to be talking on here, you can't be eating popcorn. It's going to make me hungry. Anyways, until next time, y'all know what time it is. We out. Peace.
All right, peace, Mike.
Peace, peace. All right, it's all